What's up, people? I want to talk about Kundalini energy. Um, let's see. First of all, Kundalini is a Sanskrit word which means circular or annual. And that goes back to the piety and the pious mind, the studying the circadian rhythm, studying the circular movements of life. It's also depicted as a coiled serpent. Or a alchemical energy or latent energy that's at the base of our spine that can rise up through our spine, through our chakra system and into our crown chakra. Well, in modern science, it's called the parasympathetic nervous system. We have these 12 receptors around the brain that basically stabilizes our brain chemistry and all that good stuff. If your parasympathetic nervous system is out of whack, if you have spine issues, you'll probably have a hard time achieving what is called the Christ consciousness or the anointed consciousness, where you get this time dilation and you can observe things like the axis mundi, the plants vibrating, you see geometry everywhere, you'll see chakra colors or you preternaturally dilate your eyes through either meditation and rising this parasympathetic energy or Kundalini energy up, and it goes through your endocrine glands or your chakras, and you can use a catalyst like the sacred mushrooms that you get underneath the base of the holy Christmas tree, or sacred cow's excrement, or Ganesh's, the elephant excrement, all of the sacraments that contain particular chemicals that will help us to induce this. The one thing, from my experience when I was younger, when I think I had this moment, you feel this tingling up your spine, your nervous system is overreactive, everything, it feels like you're connected to everything around you. We have this thing in our pineal gland, it's called magnetite. We have these proteins in our eyes called cryptochrome proteins. And if you watch my Christ consciousness videos, and I'm talking about seeing the world differently, it's that. It's how the birds migrate and the animals. Like they believe swallows can see this overlaying grid that goes over everything. And I think you have the best time of achieving, tapping into the Earth's energy at the induction hours, pre-dawn induction, when the Earth's energies, the fields come roaring back through the Earth, and they protect us from the sun's rays and cosmic radiation and all that good stuff. But it's called the witching hour or the geologist wow moment. But if you go out and meditate at these hours, 3:30 in the morning, you get way up high on a mountaintop and you stare at the northern star, and when you start to get the time dilation, your eyes get dilated, cryptochrome proteins kick in. You really need to be in a relaxed, calm state and know yourself, because if you're using a catalyst and you're afraid, you can go through kind of like a schizophrenic episode where you dream while you're wide awake. If you're fearful, because your body fights it because it thinks it's dying. It sounds kind of crazy, but how can I explain? At the moment of death, we're going to have this massive dimethyltryptamine release, which is a sacred chemical in a lot of these mushrooms that elevate our consciousness. You can take a big enough dose and have out-of-body experiences, or cross over, or sense and come back. I think that's what the whole death and rebirth experience was about, was taking these sacred sacraments. But you need to be a relatively healthy person to even achieve it. You need to have somewhat of a healthy diet, a healthy pituitary gland system, and a healthy spine and a healthy nervous system, and to even achieve this stuff. So it's not for everybody to actually achieve and see. But it's one of the reasons why when you take psychedelics, you see tracers though, because you're starting to get there. But I think the leaders of the tribes, the shamans, have always been these guys, because they tap into this awareness, and you get like these conscious downloads too that are so hard to bring back with you when you reach that height, or you get most high. But sometimes you bring back little pieces with you. But after observing that axis mundi and seeing the stars spin around the central point, or the world tree, or whatever, and observing people's, or any living beings, or us, you see the world a little differently. Our eyes have the ability, how can I explain this? If you do the right amount of psychedelics, or you meditate properly for a long enough time, and the ideal way to do it without the psychedelics is to manipulate your own dimethyltryptamine, which is usually happening while we're sound asleep during that pre-dawn electromagnetic induction at 3 in the morning, when your eyes are in that rapid eye movement state and you're dreaming. If you push yourself, stay awake all night long, and you go up and meditate, and then you use your own brain chemistry, stay awake. You're going to be really tired and sleepy, but you'll start to get that time dilation thing going on without using any of the sacraments as a catalyst, if you know what you're trying to do. There's a wonderful documentary that was released from a study from the Johns Hopkins Medical Institution on psilocybin mushrooms. Watching that may help you kind of understand some of the stuff I'm talking about. You can also look into cryptochrome proteins and magnetite, and the fact that some people, about 2% of the population, is still highly sensitive to electromagnetic fields, and it's because we are bioelectric beings, and I think there is potential for us to alter our DNA through synergy with plants and mushrooms and fungus, and we have these receptors built in our brains for these sacramental molecules that come out of these sacramental plants and herbs and funguses and stuff like that, to help awaken our brain. And I think that's why it's inherent and natural that people seek and crave drugs sometimes, because it's been part of our culture for so many years, thousands and thousands of years. And it's not for everybody, but it is for some, I guess. And, make no mistake, you can really jack yourself up too if you get your brain chemistry all out of whack. Yeah, I don't know. I had experiences when I was younger messing around with stuff that I've had to try to wrap my head around, and it's pretty cool seeing that you can make some logical sense of metaphysical experiences that you might have. Science, unfortunately, has taken the spirituality out of it, or the mystical side out of things, and I think because a lot of our personal visions can be arbitrary, and only make sense to you, or it's only a vision that you might have. But I think there are certain things that we can share and learn from when we go to these extreme places in our psyche. Yeah. Anyways, I'm just rambling. Have a good day, people. One love.